Today's test is for high quality comparison in 1920 by 1080 mode and 60 frames per second between the Chinese GoPro lookalike and the actual GoPro Hero Silver Edition. In the left corner, weighing 65 grams, is the Chinese challenger Econ H9. In the right corner, the heavyweight champ at 84 grams, GoPro Hero 4 Silver.
Let's get ready to rumble!
The Econ fails the first indoor white balance test and is picking up some type of video pulsating interference from the LED room lights. The Hero 4 is perfect. Another indoor low lighting clip, you can immediately notice the high contrast in the Econ and brighter blacks and colors as we switch between cameras on the same clip. The Hero 4 here is not so contrasty, a smoother picture with more details in the black levels and also a more precise white balance. Both cameras are exposing the low-level lighting scene here properly. The Econ here is a much brighter image with its high contrast and vibrant colors. There is more detail than the Hero 4, but the Hero 4 has a better white balance. Here the Econ is brighter, but the Hero 4 contains a lot more information within the blacks of the image, as its contrast is much lower than the Econ. I've mounted both cameras on a single bracket side by side to perform these comparative tests. Comparing these cameras in normal daylight conditions, the Econ looks great with its high contrast and bright colors. The Hero 4 produces a smoother image, not as rich in color, but there is more shadow depth as you can see in the palm trees. In a side comparison, notice the shades of black in the trees while the Econ is totally black yet still looking good. Let's examine the black levels and the sharpness between the two cameras in more detail. The Econ H9, when properly lit, produces a nice vibrant image without any noticeable noise and radiates nice color levels. The Hero 4 looks kind of muddy here, but it's actually a better image technically speaking. The black levels are better, which make the image better for broadcast video productions and to match up with other cameras. Econ's sharpness stands out much greater than the Hero 4. You can also see this in more detail on the upper pool deck. But notice the black levels of the Hero 4 compared to the Econ in the trees. There is much more detail in the Hero's 4 image. Here's another clip to demonstrate how much more detail the Hero 4 produces in the trees compared to the Econ. Econ is still a good image for the average consumer on a lower budget. Both cameras look great here, except the Hero 4 produces better color here on the silver frame of the clock. Let's get a sample of the audio now.
Done? Yeah, alright. How you doing, sir? Everything okay? Alright.
The Econ was inside its plastic case with the lens cover removed.
Done?
Yeah, your face is done.
Alright. How you doing, sir? Everything okay? Alright.
Hero 4 sound is perfect without its case. Notice the big difference in black levels here. Hero 4 looks a lot more professional. But in this wide-angle shot, the Econ is much more brilliant and sharper. Econ is much more radiant and colorful here, but the Hero 4 is a more professional image exposing all the detail within the leaves, and levels are more suitable for broadcasting. Both cameras seem to have the same focus as I moved up closer. The Econ is still a remarkable camera with all its packaged accessories and adapters for under $80, as the Hero 4 includes just a couple of adapters and is priced under $400. Both cameras can produce a great quality image with the right lighting condition. Econ is producing more vivid color, but the Hero is picking up the darker areas much better. I also love the large 2-inch display on the Econ, while the Hero 4's smaller one is a nice touchscreen, making it easier to access all the features and settings. And a very cool part is the touchscreen standby button, so you can control when the screen is on. I'm going to continue running the clips side by side, shortened down, so we can get a better comparison of both cameras with different backdrops and lighting. Later on, we'll also take a look at an evening test and a time-lapse footage comparison. I noticed there was a lot of noise in her face here as she moved closer to the camera. Hero 4's image remains smooth and pleasing, while the Econ is showing more noise, which you can see in the black paving of the street. Both cameras play out here with acceptable quality. except when we start seeing too much black in the Econ when the light falls brighter in the background. Not seeing any jitters or rolling shutter problems on either model. On my monitor, I could see a much smoother facial image from the Hero 4 than the Econ. Econ loses the details in the trees as the black levels will not adjust. Here the facial image also loses from the Econ's high contrast level. Hero 4 has less of a red bleed than the Econ. Seems there is more moray noise from the grass showing up on the Econ compared to the Hero. Notice how fast the Econ gets dark as the Hero maintains its exposure properly. We are losing daylight, but the Hero is still brighter as it maintains its exposure while reducing any image noise. Here it's overcast and the Hero 4 is doing a great job keeping the image evenly lit. This type of lighting is not good for the Econ. If we put some people here, their facials would be more chiseled and appear to be in a lower resolution when compared to the Hero. I think the color of the flowers on the Hero 4 are probably more accurate than the Econ. The left image looks a bit more grainier and of course higher contrast. Here the right image is smoother and very little image noise. Again, we lose facial quality on the Econ. For an editor, this would create more work trying to correct the levels. In low or lowered lighting, I definitely prefer the Hero 4. It would save me a lot of post-production work. The Hero 4 is also a slight wider lens in wide mode, and there's a super wide which make it much wider than the Econ. Now I didn't test the underwater housings since the Econ's housing only works underwater, and out of the water it produces a blurred fuzzy image which I could not get rid of, so I removed the plastic housing lens cover. Some of the sounds you're listening to, and if they are not labeled, it's sound from the Hero 4 as the Econ was not very good. The next few shots are not stills, they are just a few quick cuts from each camera. Coming up in a few seconds, we will take a look inside a shopper's market with incandescent lighting to see how both cameras will handle a commercial environment. Notice how the exposure changes differently on each camera. Next, we are going to try low lighting in a commercial environment under incandescent lights. With these static objects, both cameras produce a nice result. However, I doubt any facial quality with this lighting would not be better exposed than on the Hero 4 Silver. Hero has better white balance. I can see that in the white roses and other white flowers. Next, I'm trying a mix of incandescent and outdoor lighting in a store as a test. Econ H9 produced a more desirable image here. As the sun sets into the twilight time of the day, the Econ darkens and produces more noticeable Gaussian noise, while the Hero 4 adapts better white balancing and exposes the scene properly. The Econ does not seem to be at all usable in these types of low lighting conditions. Finally, I'm going to try a 5-second time lapse. I was shocked how poorly the Econ did in this round. Totally unusable and a big disappointment, but I'm not sure if perhaps the battery was low and had ruined the time-lapse somehow. To sum it up, I like the Econ package but prefer the quality from the Gopro Hero 4 mainly because it meets professional quality standards. I can't say which is the actual winner, as the Econ is a great camera package for the average consumer or hobbyist. The Gopro Hero is not just a name, it actually is a professional camera for the above average consumer and professional. Both cameras serve a purpose for specific needs. Thanks again for watching, and catch our next show when we compare the Gopro 4 Hero to the Sony HDR AS15 and also to the Canon EOS 7D.